it's like that needs to be a different focus
Mm-hmm.
because it's non-negotiable. It's not,
Yeah. You
you
got to
know,
get it in there, man.
I just have to. So,
Dude, the world needs you, bro. It does.
well, I mean, and what is, after a lot of years of having a very privileged existence to go and manifest that stuff, we just have these weird conversations about slowing down and what it looks like, what it means financially, creatively, and then what does matter. So where I
Yeah.
live far from Michigan. You know, um, you were raised in South Carolina, right?
Yeah. Born and raised.
Yeah, so I mean that's home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I of course it's home here for me, but
Yeah, but it's not that type of home.
it's
Yeah.
just different.
It's not back home.
It's not. It's not right. So I wrestle with that a little bit,
Yeah, I bet.
and still, and it's okay. But it's just sort of like we were home in Michigan like 2 weeks ago, and I was
Mm.
kicking the tires on what it would mean just to say we're going home.
Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
that is our home,
Yeah.
and Lee's family also. So that's a weird thing. It does not
It
play into the hand of like I don't know, going out and trying to do tons of things. I have one thing left this year, two. One in September,
Wow.
and then one in Adobe Max, and that's it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good for you though. But like that's the thing about you, man. That's something that you instilled. You probably have no idea how much of a mentor you've been to me. Um,
Really?
yeah, just watching you work and everything. When I first met you, you showed up with a suitcase full of stuff that you sold, and you've always done that. You've always had this Midwestern sort of approach to work. And I think it was one time you told me you were like, "Look, man, we could be digging ditches, but instead I get to like play with vectors in Illustrator, and that sort of resonates with me because that's how my father was,
Yeah.
and I always wanted to bring that vibe to my work. But we work in this digital world, right? And
Right.
people get awful complacent, and they get awful, like you were saying, you don't want to get to where you just expect it.
Oh man.
How do you stay there? I mean, because you've had some success. I mean, you field notes. You've got a trail of work. You have a book. I mean, I remember that. But how do you keep it grounded? I mean, is that just how your dad raised you? I mean, what do you like to give credit for that?
Well, my mom and dad, you know, when you look back at these things and it's like, number one, they were cool. They weren't the kind of mom and dad who, I'm trying to be careful here because I don't, I was really lucky to have a cool mom and dad.
Hmm.
And my mom's still around. My dad's dead as shit, by the way. He is so dead. I mean, the
That's
money
not,
we're saving on groceries alone,
oh man.
what a great benefit. If he could have died 10 years earlier,
Mm.
financially, God, what a pain in the ass he was. But, you know, that they taught me that, the easy way out's just not the way to go. My mom,
Yeah.
from a young age, taught me about like making lists,
Hmm.
pros and cons. Why do you want to move out west right out of high school? You're 17 years old. Go get an associate's degree. So we would just did like a
Right.
little list of why that would be good and why it would be bad.
Right.
And the best thing was I had the privilege of my parents being able to take care of me for
Hmm.
2 years of $2,000 worth of community college.
Right.
And they didn't even have that. So of course I took advantage of that and went and did it, and it was awesome. But where's that come from? It's like, my dad was funny. I didn't take shit too seriously. So I hope I have a good sense of humor to make
Yeah.
fun of myself and make fun of my job and not take my shit too seriously. That comes from there. But, my dad would just pull me aside and say growing up, like he was a salesman and
Yeah.
there were a couple jobs that he was offered knowing he would do a good job, and he didn't get the job because he didn't have a degree.
Mm.
So, he would just map it out and say, We're okay.
Yeah.
Aaron, if I could have got that gig, it could have been this, this, and this to help
Mhm.
us. And I didn't get it because I didn't have the piece of paper. So that's the world we live in. It's not fair. It's not cool. It's not whatever. But, you know, that's the world we live. And so I see these things. So, for me to balance going and being an adventurer and driving
Mhm.
across the West to go be a snowboarder out West as a kid, taking our skateboarding into the mountains or whatever you want to call it, it's like there was always one foot in the pragmatic. You're going to have to work. You're going to have to save. We can't buy you skateboards and things. I mean, we can Christmases and shit, but
Yeah.
you guys break this stuff, you trash this stuff,
Right.
and that lifestyle, you're going to have to be better. You have to work a pizza job or whatever. So,
Yeah.
you know, they instilled a no bullshit work ethic from the get go. You know,
Yeah.
and it's still, I have guilt if I let something go,
Mm.
and yet I'm in a funny, precarious spot because, you know, it just sounds weird, but the guys will be like, Draplin, you go whenever you want to go. No. Crack a whip, let me know I'm on
Yeah.
the clock, and let me know when you need me,
Right.
I mean, imagine that.
Yeah.
That, like, today I was 15 minutes late or something. You'd be bummed. We're buds. That's not what you do to a Gene Crawford anywhere. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And yet
I agree.
people will dance around that shit and
Yep.
be like, "Well, you
Yep.
do have this." Nope, nope, nope. And whatever. There are things that you get to enjoy from people thinking you're some shit in graphic design, but when it comes right down to it, and I close my eyes at night, and I open my eyes in the morning, I'm a human being.